Welcome to the podcast room, Boris.
Thank you, Olga, for having me.
I can't believe today you are the guest of the show.
Yes, I'm surprised myself.
Well, I would like to welcome you to this studio
Thank you.
that you personally created.
Yes.
And this is pretty much a last episode of the year. It's a wrap of 12 plus months that you and I have begun our journey of working together. And I am super honored and excited to have you in this room today.
Thank you.
I know that it took a little while for you to get comfortable, and it took a little while for you to say, okay, let's do it. People don't understand as a whole that it's not just coming into the room and recording. It takes some internal drive
Absolutely.
to come back and say, you know what, let's go do it. You need to have the drive. And today I'm super grateful to welcome one of the most well-known guests of our community.
Okay, take it easy. I don't think I'm well known. I'm just doing what I have to do in the community to help out if I have to. But
You are very well known in the community as Boris Kaykov and the Kaykov Media.
all right.
And this all goes back to your
Grandfather.
ancestors.
Ancestors, yeah, basically.
So the grandfather began this journey 1940s
In the 1940s, correct.
when the pictures were not even in color.
Yes, so they would take pictures on a roll of film and they would develop it in a red room, and it was very fascinating how that whole industry started there. I mean, they weren't the creators there, but they were one of the biggest people in Russia in Tashkent, who actually been doing this for quite some time there. And all of the kids, my father's siblings, took over and helped out the whole family business. Basically, that was it for them mainly.
So how did he get your father engaged?
You know, in our family, it's more of like helping out. You know, you are helping out the family, and this is how it just appeared. If the father is working, you're not going to be sitting on the side there doing nothing. You're going to keep yourself occupied and join and help out.
Wow,
Whatever the case is.
incredible.
Anything that we're doing, there is always an extra hand that needs to be helped. Even if just, touching the wire, constantly moving, whatever it is.
Whereas to me, today's episode is all about touching the point of the importance of father's figures.
Correct.
And this was one of the reasons why I chose to do this episode with you, because my father and your father apparently were pretty much following each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that up until lately, to discover that the name that my mother keeps hearing. Wow, did you know that your dad was watching Kaykov TV on the weekends?
Back in the day, wow. Yeah.
And it's interesting how we grow in life and we are just busy running around and keeping up with life, that we don't get to understand the depth of sentimental moments of our parents. And how we just keep going without understanding and analyzing. Like my dad, for example, watched your father's Kaykov TV on the weekend.
Wow,
And I didn't know that up until right now.
that's amazing.
So I just want to touch upon how grateful I am to be associated with a family that is so deep with their roots on respect, love, and really understanding how important it is to have a good family tree and foundation and support. Because my belief in today's day and age, not every father and not every figure of a father that says, yes, I do, right, under the chuppah,
Follows
that
through.
understands the responsibility they are about to take upon themselves just being under that chuppah.
100%.
And first becoming a husband, and then becoming a father. And that role of a father is such a sentimental role that is with you until your last breath.
Mm-hmm.
And it is super important for me right now and you to deliver that message so our community and people that's going to be watching us to understand the core value of our families and the foundation where we are coming from. You and I have a lot of similarities, right? So let's dive into that.
Okay.
So how long Kaykov Media exists at the moment?
So, since obviously my grandfather's time, this is how it all started. But here in New York, my father and my brother who started to evolve in that industry, it wasn't really based on advertisement, it was word of mouth.
Mm,
And this is how it started here in New York.
amazing. How did you get into the picture?
You see, in like I said earlier, like, with my family, it's
Non-negotiable.
non-negotiable. You had to be a helping hand always. So back in when I started helping out, when my father and my brother was recording events and things of that nature, I would always stand on the sidelines by the light because back in the day we had that extra light in the restaurant, and then we would have to turn it to where they are recording. And always have your eyes open looking at the person who's recording to give them a battery just in case they need a change or anything of that nature. Bring some water if he needs to refreshen himself. So you would always have to be on the lookout.
Wow.
So I was like around 10, 11 years old. And then from there, little by little, I started to, not that I was interested, but it was interesting pressing some buttons with the camera, turning the lens. I remember there was this one event that was on 63rd. There was some restaurant there. And there was like a prime minister from Uzbekistan came. It wasn't a big restaurant, but it was overflowing with a lot of people. And my father handed me a camera. It was a film camera. It wasn't a digital camera today. And we had a couple of cameras. He gave me one camera while he shoots with another from a different angle. He's like, okay, take the camera, start shooting. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is that. Just press the button, do the focus, and you're good to go.
Wow.
And then I took it from there. I started taking pictures. And then after a couple of days later, we developed the pictures and he was showing me my work. He's like, you know what? You're not bad for the first time.
Wow.
So that's how that started.
Wow, that's incredible. So your father technically pushed you under the bus.
Put me under the bus. You know what? And this is how I learned when I have designers or people who want to learn how to become a graphic designer or a photographer. I put them under the bus. Honestly,
Wow.
that is the best way to learn. Just like somebody told me, when you start driving, if you get lost, it's okay. This is how you're going to learn.
That's incredible.
So that's my strategy in that part.
Boris, it looks like your father and your grandfather both began this journey. And it seems like there was a pattern of certain qualities. What would you say your father's non-negotiables were that you could share with your children?
Non-negotiables are, I would probably say, if you do something, it's either you do it right or you don't do it at all. Okay, that's one of the main things. When we had to do something, we had to give it all or nothing. That's one. Second, I would say family values is extremely important. When we had family gatherings, we had 3-4 tables, we had 30-40 people, and I would ask my mom, how many people are we having? She's like, what does it matter? We're just gonna put the whole table together. It is what it is. And as many people that would come, we would have enough for everybody.
Wow.
It was never a moment where, there wasn't enough people or, there was, the house was full of people.
Wow.
And my father loved it. My father loved company.
Wow.
That was very important. I think also very important that he was a very spiritual person. He understood
The meaning of life.
the meaning of life in a way where, what is the right way and what is the wrong way. And this is how he would, develop us to be the right people, the right human being, as he would say it.
Wow. Well, Boris, I approached you multiple times in the beginning when we started working together. Hey, Boris, like my day finishes like around 6, 7 o'clock. Can we have a meeting? Because that was the time when I felt I was available.
Mm-hmm.
And you would turn down those meetings maybe more than twice. I think I approached you. As a salesperson, you always approach more than once.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
You never take no for the answer for the first time, right? So, and you turn it down, and then I think you explained to me why. And to me, that was a moment where I was very, very impressed by. So, where is it coming from? Like, how do you stop? Because as business owners, right, we could just
You just keep
passionately
going.
run all day long, and I
100%.
love what I do, and thank God my husband works with me, so we are kind of like always together, so he never have to question me like at 6, 7, 8 o'clock we have an appointment, like he never questions me, where are you, because we are always together most of the time. But you, how do you like put a stop to your busy day, and how do you like get to the point where it's a family time now?
You know, before I got married, there was no stop. I kept going. And after I got married, we didn't have kids yet in the beginning, and I was still going. And then my wife goes like, we have a child, and I need you to be home at a certain time for dinner every single day. It doesn't matter whatever you're doing. You can even go back to work later. Put the kids to bed and go back to work.
Wow.
But as long as you're there for a couple of hours to spend time with the kids, to give them your attention together as a family, and that really, she changed that part of my life, and I feel very blessed, and I see it that it is really important in a household to give that attention to your kids. That's extremely important. I didn't see it before, but if you have the right woman next to you who can guide you the right way, and it's not all about the money, it's not all about work. Work is great. I love working, but sometimes family is important. Not all the time, because that is the future of your
Creation.
Yeah.
Well, I have to honestly tell you, I'm very fascinated to see and hear our community man to speak so highly of his wife.
Of course.
I can't wait to meet her in person, because obviously behind every successful man, there is a very, very golden woman.
Correct.
A woman that has wisdom, a woman who has the right attitude, a woman who knows how to approach men, because I think this is what today's generation is really, really is craving, right? Everybody wants to be right, and everybody wants to be, taking
Absolutely.
everything on themselves.
Yes.
And sometimes people can't easily give up or just kind of like let go, right? And so I think this is what maybe your wife mastered. And I even asked you yesterday when we were getting ready in our conversation, what is your secret?
I don't know what's her secret, but obviously I think her mother has a very similar character traits. And her father and the way they were raised were very similar, very family oriented. And this is very important, I think, in a family. If at least one person to really guide, listen, we are growing up together. Did you know when you became a mother what really you need to do? No, there is no handbook, there's no instruction manual for these things, but it's supposed to come to you naturally, the right way.
Correct.
So
Intuitively.
yes, basically.
How many children you guys have?
We have 4 children
God
now.
bless.
Thank God. Yes, 11. Well, I'm sorry, 14, 11, 8, and a 9-month.
God bless.
Yes,
Wow.
thank
Wow,
God.
wow, wow. So you have a very busy life.
Yeah, I guess.
full.
Thank God.
Hands
Yeah.
full.
Yes.
I think the best blessing that we could, on the way of creating our 5 circles, right? So I believe in 5 circles, where it's your spiritual life, family life, business life, personal life. I believe that all these circles have to be equally balanced and fulfilled. Otherwise, you can't be successful. Success cannot be defined, in my opinion, that if you have a very successful business that generates a lot of cash revenue, and then you have a family life that messed up, or you have children that don't see you,
100%.
or you have parents that are not satisfied and not blessing you every single day that they wish you well. To me, this is what definition of good balanced life.
This is actual success, basically.
That's the actual success. So in my belief that successful fathers, right, have really a very big responsibility on their shoulders every single day, that they have to carry on day in, day out, and be a good example
Role model
for their
example.
children.
Correct.
To showcase that this is how it's done. And my belief is that when you have a successful household, when you have a successful wife that's waiting for you home, when she creates those standards and certain rules within the household where she's waiting for you every day. And kids do see that. Can you only imagine how it's going to transpire into many generations to come?
That's the beauty. That is what it is. Yes. That is
That's,
correct.
that's the secret.
That is the secret
That's the
sauce.
secret sauce.
Absolutely.
Well, Boris, let's talk a little bit more about the importance of being a father.
You tell me about your father. How did he impact your life?
Well, my father, it's funny that you brought this up because the whole idea was to really showcase of people getting to know me more and better.
Mm-hmm.
I personally started as a little girl, and I remember those days, and I share that with you, that my father would always go to a daycare, and he would always make me involved into any kind of big ceremonies and openings.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go to my teachers, and he would actually ask them, give my daughter стихотворение, right?
Poems, large
Poems,
poems.
right, for her to learn. And I remember how he would come home and say, okay, this time you have a pretty long one. It's got a couple of different chapters.
Wow.
You need to remember them. And he would sit down with me. He would put me high up on the chair when I was like a little girl. And he would make me step up on that chair. And he would make me really go through this poem. First, I remember how we would remember them because he wanted me to remember the words.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would make me repeat it, but then repeat it with enthusiasm. Not just to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Uh-huh.
He would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Uh-huh.
And like he would train me to
Train
do
you,
that.
wow.
And I would be like learning to like go back and forth with my voice, with my tonality, with my movement. And so when I recently decided to make up my mind with coming out into the world of social media and recordings and the videos, I have to honestly tell you that I don't think people really have seen yet the 100% Olga that my father created.
Okay, what are the 100%? What are we missing here?
I think
What haven't we
100%
seen?
is missing where I'm still feeling like I've been touching just the tip of the iceberg. I have
Okay.
not really opened up 100% fully. But it took me time, Boris, as
Of
we
course, this
started
is not
working
easy.
together,
100%.
right? You were teaching me how, Olga, you have to do this and you have to do that and be yourself and don't be scared and people will get to know you and people would get to, understand your strengths and weaknesses. But I personally feel that it took a very, very long 1-year journey of us working together, how you behind the scenes watching what we are creating. And when I'm coming out with certain ideas and episodes, I always approach you and I tell you, hey, Boris, what do you think of that idea? And it's not because I don't trust in myself. It's because I trust your professional opinion.
Feedback.
Boris, what do you think of that idea? And there's so many ideas that we exchange all the time. And you kind of like align it and say, okay, this is a great idea, but do it in about 3 months from now.
Correct.
Do it in about...
There's a time and a place for everything.
Correct,
That's how I
correct.
feel.
But I do want people to know that the Olga that people are seeing is the Olga that my dad created. And if my father wouldn't be the strong model, role model in my life, for 37 years I had him. He passed away about 10 years ago from cancer, and when he got sick, there is no way I believed that this day would come because I thought he would be there forever. But unfortunately, if there is any messages I could share with those that still have their loved fathers by their side, to spend more time with them
Without a
and
doubt.
to get to know them on a deeper level as humans, communicate with them more, just simply go out on dinners or lunches. I mean, to me, if my dad would be around, I think that's one of the things I would do, is to spend more time with
Spend more
him.
time. Just the fact that you're even there in their house and watching TV
Correct.
together,
Yes. Yes.
it's a different type of
Absolutely.
energy.
But I think we've done everything we possibly could have done at that time. I remember very well how he would still believe that he'll get over it. He would still believe that we're going to grow out of it. And I remember how I would watch with him a movie Secret. And at that time, I would sit down with him for hours. And we would just write down things that I would say, Dad, look, it's all about energy. Dad, look, it's all about your mental state. Believe you're going to make it. Believe you'll get out of it. and we will make it through this. I was always optimistic. This is one of the characteristics that I possess, maybe sometimes a little too optimistic in certain areas where, need to be accepted the fact that it's not looking good.
Hmm.
And when that day came, it was a big shock for me because I was way too optimistic to believe that it's not going to happen.
Reality.
But I do want people to believe and know that the person that everyone is seeing before their eyes is the big, big, massive input of my father, who put in so much time, effort, energy. I mean, you name it. It was just the two of us, me and my sister. I'm the oldest. And as you can imagine, I would say like all the love in the world was given to me for 7 years because I was alone for 7 years.
Wow.
I was the oldest. And my father was just an incredible role model. When I got married, he became an incredible role model for my children. He never had boys. He always wanted to have a son, but never managed to have one. And when my kids were born, he raised them as his own sons.
That's pretty amazing.
And my children, if you look at my kids and you get to meet them, you could see that they possess the quality of my father, especially my oldest son. He possesses a lot of qualities of my dad. And it's just incredible to see that my dad managed to spend time with his grandkids.
That's amazing.
And when my youngest one actually turned 13, this is when my father passed away.
Wow.
But I'm very grateful that both of my kids had the privilege of having the hardcore foundation as the good hard roots of, morals, the qualities, the
Correct.
respect, the love. If you started to say something that you were going to do, you better deliver.
100%.
The qualities that you can go to sleep and get it done today, if it could be done today, that's all him. So if I would recap all my characteristics, yes, there is a lot of qualities from my mom. Like to dress nice and to be the fashionista and to make up and to all this thing. This is all my mom. But my dad, he was really a hardcore man that I could proudly say that, yes, short 37 years, but it was incredible experience as a whole. And I could say that, not too many people have that privilege to have a good role models as their fathers.
100%.
And this is what I believe in. I want our generation to understand, yes, getting married, and yes, buying expensive things, and yes, having all this fancy, lavish lifestyle is important. But what I want to highlight is that I go through life, Boris, helping lots of families liquidate their estates. And in the end of the day, I promise you, everything goes to garbage.
I believe that.
Everything.
I definitely believe
So the
that.
only things that people take with them, if they are still alive and breathing, is their immediate stuff that they need when they go to, let's say, assisted living or a nursing home, or when they're relocating to a different state to downsize. They take their important clothes.
That's it.
They take their pictures. They take their videos. That's the memories
Memory.
that we create.
Correct.
And they take the most sentimental valuables. Everything else stays behind. Everything else stays behind. And can you only imagine how I feel when I go to people's homes to clean it all up and to see what their life was spent on something that goes to garbage. And if there is going to be an advocate in our community that, we talk about it a lot, I decided to create that movement where we want to keep the community united, where we want to open their eyes to understand what is the value to life.
Agreed.
The value to life is about really creating that relationship with the families, with their loved ones. Every day that goes by cannot be bought again.
Correct.
You can't bring it back, cannot
goes
be
forward.
returned back. It's something that we leave for today and the future that we create as the families together for many generations to come. Boris, how's your children right now getting involved with you to help you?
Well, every summer, usually when they're free, I bring them into the office. I give them small things to start from, keeping them busy just to be involved. and not waste their time playing video games and things of that nature. I remember when I was a kid and I wanted to buy a Nintendo, and my father told me, "What do you need it for? It's unnecessary." But I still, obviously, as kids, I went and bought it myself with my own money. I went, I bought it. Honestly, I don't have, I'm not a fan of playing too many games. I figured that out myself. And then as he would see me playing, he's like, "Boris, what are you doing?
Mm.
Can you do something for me on the computer?"
Mm.
And then this is how it all started, using Photoshop, and this is how also it evolved. And the same thing I want to apply to my kids. I'm not asking them to take over, but I want to give them a piece of what I'm doing. And maybe if they feel like this is what they want to do, I will not pressure. If this is what they want to do, they'll take over. If not, that's how it was supposed to be then. It's nothing I can control. I don't want to pressure them. I feel like putting pressure on something that they don't want to do, they're not going to put their heart. So if they really want to, it's in their hands. Same thing it was for me. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I like the process. And that's why I'm here today.
Excellent.
And it works.
Excellent. Boris, who created this room? Whose idea was this?
This room idea was me personally. I definitely spoke to my brother Roman. We had this conversation, and my brother like, you know what you're doing. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. It took us about 3 months to put this all together, and I think it was an extreme success. Besides everything else that we're having going on, this room really is changing
people's lives.
Yeah, because people can spread their message through podcasts, and I have people who want to come here at night and rent the space out and have their own little podcast, their message, or whatever it is that they want to share with the world.
Incredible. Boris, as professional, I always ask for guidance and support and advice. I look at you as my social media coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel honored.
Thank you. What improvement have you seen from the time we started?
Massive. You're right now, from the real estate perspective, in that industry, I think you are taking over, and I think you see for yourself how many people are reaching out to you right now and seeing what you're doing and how you're elevating and taking things to the next level. I think for them, you are like, I don't know, you are the celebrity now in the real estate industry. No? Don't you feel that way?
Well, I'm a very humble person. I think even when I have 5 million people in the room, I would still feel like, wow, pinch me, I don't think it's real. Because I feel like that's the direction I'm going. But the direction I'm going in this way is because I really want to inspire people, and I want to really shift their minds, right? By doing what I'm doing, I think what I've learned over this year, I've mastered skills of finding people that I personally resonate with by seeing their talent, but they tell me they don't have it. And I think one of the master skills that I learned to kind of like switch from them is when they tell me that they don't have it, but I see it in them. And when I start talking to them, they just open up like a flower. So that's one of the things that I kind of like learned that I have as my skills is to finding people that I want to interview. And even when they tell me, oh no, I don't know anything. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, I'm camera shy. I learned to kind of like open them up in a way where I make them feel like, okay, let's talk about this. What do you think? And they're like, oh, that's a very important message. And I feel like there is a lot of people in our community that have so much talent.
Absolutely.
That I feel like it's my duty and my obligation to help them open that up.
But you have that to do so. I think you have it in you. You're just very warm. You have so much energy in the way you approach people, it's amazing. I'm, you know me. How many times we had this conversation?
Yes.
Boris, come on the podcast. I said no, but I actually feel a lot of
You
energy
warmed
from
up.
you.
You warmed up.
I'm warmed up.
You warmed up. Well, yeah. So if there is anything I want to share with my listeners, right? I want to share the fact that what I've learned by doing this, by practicing what I'm doing right now in this room, is that I've learned who do I need, who do I feel like will be an interesting guest to bring on, what message do I need to put out there, because I write my own script.
Correct.
I find my own talent. I find my own ideas. I know exactly what I want to put out there. So I kind of like create my own music in a way. I can't sing, I don't have a voice. But I think by doing this is giving me the ability to bring the talent together. And even now, like we're doing this concert with Nargiza, right? I could have never dreamed of having this concert with Nargiza for the good cause of Israel.
Yeah.
And I could have never dreamed and imagined that Nargiza will come forward and say, okay, let's do this together. But obviously she saw something in me that she felt it would be a good combination for us to do it together. And so I think there's going to be so many more projects and ideas that we're going to develop as a community as the whole.
Absolutely.
But I do want people to understand that I wasn't born to do this. Maybe I was.
But the thing is, you have great intentions.
Yes.
That's what is the most important thing.
Correct.
The value that you bring is the intention that you're going to give.
Absolutely. And I think when I bring this people here to this podcast room, first in the beginning, they all come in very tight, like very claustrophobic. And I do tell them, like, give yourself time. And I don't mean to take time from them because I have nothing else to do. I tell them because I know it's going to take them time to warm up, right? And once they come here, they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave the room. They want to continue talking. They want to continue spreading other messages. They want to keep recording. They want to ask me questions. And
they get into the zone.
They get into the zone. And like you said yesterday, once we get into the room, we're going to start thinking of ideas. But I think this is what this room is designed for and created, that you could bring the best out of you.
Absolutely. Definitely.
So you definitely created this with very good thoughts in mind. And you really had great intentions to bring people's talents into this room, right? Because when we speak our minds and we could share the heartfelt messages out there into the world, people will start to see you on a massive level from a different scale.
Yep.
You know, it's not just Olga, the salesperson. It's not Olga, just the real estate broker. It's not just Olga, the marketing and designer person. It's a human being that truly cares about people.
It's the relationship.
It's the relationship, and to impact and to improve their lives.
Absolutely.
Where it could really make them feel and understand that when they get my hand, my guiding force will get them out of a lot of trouble, because we are so connected with so many different business professionals that people need those connections.
Absolutely.
And that's what I believe that I've mastered. What do you think we need to improve on, Boris?
Honestly, you're on the right path. You're doing very well, and with the online social media and everything that's going on, I think you should just take it a step at a time, day by day, because the algorithm changes, and the most important thing is being consistent. If you are consistent, if you keep going, believe me, you'll get where you want to be. It's not going to be overnight. But I think what you're doing and where you're going, your intentions are there, without a doubt. I think you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you. Boris, I get approached a lot, like you mentioned lately, by agents, a lot of agents, that even including my own company, that they would like to start doing recordings.
Nice.
Share a little bit of an insights. What characteristics and values are important to start doing this? If you do it once or twice, would it work?
No, I think, like I said, consistency is very important. You should do it at least once a week. You should pre-record at least 4 episodes a month and start posting them. As you're posting, you should start record more. Start recording more episodes so you won't be behind. Don't leave anything on the back burner, and you just have to be consistent. If you're gonna do it once or twice, don't do it at all. Don't waste your time or other people's time. Unless you want to try it out to see if it fits you, that's a different story. But, you know, I never thought in a million years that I will be in front of the camera because I am not that guy. But unfortunately, we have to be. We have to spread information. There was this one beautiful thing that Patrick Bet-David said. He said that he started to record himself. Obviously, I don't know if you know Patrick Bet-David. He's huge an influencer.
Sure.
He used to have an insurance firm. He's like, I started to record myself because in 20, 30, 50 years, I want my kids to see me.
Wow.
Because if somebody would ask me to see my grandparents in front of the camera,
You would give a lot.
I'll give millions of dollars to see it,
Correct.
and I can't because it doesn't exist.
Correct.
But now we have the ability. We have to take advantage of it. And I want my grandkids to see me how I was, and for them to see my character traits and maybe be
Yeah.
inspired.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, now you touched upon something very, very important, Boris. Year and a half ago, I think it all happened with you, right? When I first started recording, when I just started last year around September,
Correct.
October,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? November on Thanksgiving, when my life pretty much changed on tremendous level.
Correct.
And I was like everybody else, like all the ladies in this world, into like the jewelry and the fancy bags and fancy stuff. And, you know, it was just like a way of rewarding myself. And when I got hit with this situation in my life, I think I took completely 360-degree turn. And everything for the past 1 year, I've been pouring into this. I've been pouring into recordings. I've been pouring into creating. My mental state started to constantly just think about creating value for the community, creating value for my community where I'm immediately surrounded by. It started with little things, and now it's turning into like really big events. I started doing a lot of trainings with speaking engagements.
It's amazing.
I remember beginning of this year, I think I spent over $5,000 just on the coach for 3 days course, how to become a professional speaker. And during that exercise with that speaker, he would train us how to become speaker on stage. And he would say that if you can't find a stage, create one.
Nice.
Okay.
Amazing.
And I was looking for a while, like finding a place where I could feel comfortable to fit myself in. And I just couldn't, because I would not just go to any stage. I would not just go to any speaking engagement, because there's certain standards that I have for myself and for the image that I'm creating.
Correct.
Right. And so now with the grace of God and with everything, how it's unfolding, I am creating my own stage. Like in a very short period of time,
I agree.
I'm going to be on stage with Nargiza and a whole bunch of ladies. And it's just like, wow, we are inviting so many ladies. It's going to get real. And creating that stage myself by doing a whole bunch of other things in my life, sometimes it just doesn't feel even real. So I want to thank the opportunity that I'm given for that voice, for that ability,
You definitely have.
for everything that God is giving me the opportunity. And my goal is to really inspire a lot of ladies in our community. Because as you know, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and now I'm a grandmother. And when that incident happened and a lot of my valuables were taken that I was thinking to pass on to my granddaughter, I would always joke around and I would say, oh my God, all my earrings she could have, all my tchotchkes like she could have. But now it's all gone. And I said to myself, you know what? They could take a lot from me, but they will never, ever, ever take away from me my growth and who am I becoming. And I want my granddaughter to be proud of, like you said, I want her to watch this episode maybe in a few years from now when she's understanding, and to really be proud of a grandmother that is able to teach her
100%.
some little valuable lessons that she could be proud of walking around and say, hey, that's my grandma.
That's amazing. That's
So
what it is.
that's the purpose of my life right now, to create, produce, share, inspire, and really motivate everyone from the youth all the way to the elderly. Because to that event, I have 85 years old ladies that are telling me, hey, I want to come and I want to see you there. And I have young ladies, and I told them, I said, listen, let's create this generational get together. Let's create this 4 generations, because if it's a grandmother, it's a daughter, it's a granddaughter, and it's her baby. So that's 4 generations right there.
Wow.
And I think it's such a blessing to witness that.
It is.
I don't think any money in the world could really give me the joy
There's no
of
value there.
There is no value to that. And when people ask me, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? I don't think people understand that the joy is in giving. And when you get to the point where you are able to, all the right people will just flow in your life. And it's just incredible for the amount of people that's kind of flowing into my life that are actually coming together and saying, oh, let's do this. Let me help you with this. I'm always here for you. And it's just unbelievable feeling, Boris. That
It is. That's a priceless
that's
feeling.
organically developing
You see? That's what it is.
without
There will be a lot of opportunities like this constantly,
Right.
but you are going to have to know where you can do it
correct.
and where you can.
There's
You
gonna be a
cannot
line.
say yes to everything.
Correct.
And you cannot spread yourself too thin, as
Correct.
they say. So you have to balance that part and see what really works for you, and sometimes whatever even benefits for you.
Correct.
Helping the community is great. We do it all the time, but there are boundaries,
Fine lines.
fine lines, and you have to make sure you are able to give and make it happen and change people's lives.
Incredible. Well, Boris, it's been my pleasure. I think that together collectively we have a lot of mutual similarities from the way we were brought up.
Absolutely.
And it's all about giving value. It's all about perfection. It's all about creating something that people could really benefit from. I appreciate the fact that you guys are in my life.
Thank you.
I appreciate for everything that you guys are doing, for all the guidance, for all the support. There's been a lot of valuable exchanges and messages and lessons we picked up and learned together. And I'm truly blessed to have this opportunity to be in this room with you today. And I can't wait for our next year. Definitely let's wrap up the year in a way that we could make a wish together collectively to our listeners,
All right.
because we have a lot of them,
Thank God.
right? So I definitely would like to say thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Thank you to our creator, our fathers, our parents, our mothers that
Mothers,
are
definitely.
the biggest guidance force and navigators to make sure that we live this life to the fullest with values that they are embedded in us.
Absolutely.
And that love we could share with the world, and that radiates through, hopefully, these recordings.
Absolutely.
I wish each and every one of my listeners and clients and followers an incredible journey ahead. May every single one of you have an amazing 2024. And let's wrap up the year. And remember that everything that doesn't service a good way, let's leave it all behind. Let's learn from our experiences and really taking on to the next chapter with a great new holy beginnings.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. God bless.
Thank you.
And let's make a difference.
Thank you.